Well, good afternoon, everyone. Let's give all of the kid performers today another big round of applause. I know it takes a lot of energy to get up and do that. That's great. Like I said, good afternoon. My name is Jaynes. I work for Columbia Power and Water Systems. I'm executive director or executive producer and director of Maury County Now, Maury Tonight, and Page by Page. Today, I'm going to facilitate a discussion between former club alum and some of the Boys and Girls Club members today. But before we do that, let me introduce you to our panel. Starting down here at the very end, we have Kyle Fortman. Kyle is a current physician's assistant with Vanderbilt through Maury Regional. Austin Chapman here is a senior current club member and a senior at Columbia Central High School. Demaray Sloan is a freshman at Columbia Central High School and current club member. And Brandon Levere is also a current club member and a sophomore at Columbia Central. So, let's get started. Austin, tell us a little bit about what you were like before you joined the club.
Yes, sir.
It's on.
All right, good. I actually joined the Boys and Girls Club in 2005, so it's about 9 years ago. Sort of feel kind of old saying that. But when I joined the club, I was sort of shy and secluded. I didn't really hang out with a lot of other friends. And my social life was sort of a bit awkward. See, in elementary school, I actually went to 5 different elementary schools in 2 different countries as well. And one of them, my mother worked there too, so I didn't really have a need, per se, to actually interact with others. But joining the Boys and Girls Clubs actually forced me to sort of get out of that safety net, get out of that comfort zone, that little bubble, and start interact and enjoy life.
And Demaray, you were also you're pretty quiet before you joined the Boys and Girls Club. You've had to experience a number of challenges in your life so far. In fact, one of them being a major car accident that involved you and your family, correct?
When I was in about third or fourth grade, I was in a serious car accident.
So just switch mics.
When I was in about third or fourth grade, I was in a serious car accident, which led to my mom being disabled and bedbound, which in turn, me being in fourth grade, taking care of my younger brother and sister, cooking and cleaning, and all together trying to go to school too. There was another adult in the household, but he wasn't very much help at all.
And Brandon, you were also dealing with some of the same kind of challenges at home when you were young growing up in Columbus, Ohio. You told me that one of your most distinct memories was of being cold. Talk a little bit about that.
Being cold was, in Columbus, the winters up there were really harsh, so it was cold in the wintertime. We didn't have any heat for 3 years, so we couldn't, take hot showers or turn on the heat whenever we got cold. So it was really hard growing up in that period of time of, no kid wants to go through that of just not having that sense of comfort there in their home. My mom was doing it by herself. She had to pay all the bills by herself. I couldn't have any friends over. That was kind of embarrassing because, kids want to have fun. They want to bring their friends over on the weekends and do stuff. I remember we would have to fill up water bottles from our neighbors next door, and we would have to run a hose from their basement up to our bathroom just to fill up water bottles to be able to flush the toilet. So it was hard growing up, but, my mom being strong and how she was, we pushed through it. We really didn't complain about it at all.
But that wasn't the only challenge you were facing growing up in Columbus, was it? Your neighborhood was also very rough, too. Talk a little bit about that.
In my neighborhood, it was a lot of violence, gangs, drugs, a lot of stuff that a kid shouldn't really see growing up. I remember people being outside fighting, shootings at night, stealing. So in order for me to just stay away from that, I would go to school and just play sports. And then again, my mom being on me so hard was another thing for me just to stay on the right track. If not, I think I would end up doing the exact same thing that was going on in my neighborhood.
Kyle Fortman grew up in Bellwood, Illinois, a suburb of Chicago, correct? And it had a higher per capita crime rate than Chicago. Kyle had seen quite a few different things. Talk a little bit about your experience growing up in Bellwood.
I grew up about 12 miles due west of the Loop of Chicago, next to another town called Maywood, where Loyola University's at. If anybody's ever traveled there, went there for schooling. It was trying times. It was kind of in the late 70s, early 80s, where there's a lot of gangs that started. West Coast kind of had the Bloods and the Crips, and we saw movies about that stuff. In the town next to me, Maywood, it was a gang that started that was called the Vice Lords. That and the Gangster Disciples were the prominent gangs in my area. And that kind of came to a head many times in my life. I've had knives at my throat. I've had guns pulled on me. I've been walking home from school, and I've had kids that I grew up with all my life and jump me and, choke me, ask me what gang affiliation I'm in. Am I in their gang or am I in somebody else's gang? So it was a little bit difficult with that. We've had our house broken into several times when I was younger. It was just me, my mother, and my older brother for a lot of my younger days. So it was a little bit trying at times.
And for you, Brandon, it wasn't just outside in your neighborhood, was it? Your dad was also very much involved in that too, right?
Yes, my dad, he sold drugs, and he also smoked in and out the house. He was a father figure to me, and then again, he wasn't at some times. Some of the decisions he made weren't very good decisions. He would always tell me not to do this and not to do that, but it was kind of hard to really understand that when you're out here doing the exact same things yourself. I will remember, the drug money coming in, but I really couldn't complain because I was getting what I wanted. So basically, the money was taking me over. So I really didn't complain about it until, I really started to understand and realize what was going on and how could you sit here and do this? But he also had positive moments in my life. He stayed on me in the sports, which is a good thing now because I don't think without that I would have ended up being somewhere else or doing something that I wasn't supposed to be doing.
And Demaray, you've also had some negative male role models in your life that you have been abused by. If you would, talk about that just a little.
Well, it started when I was just a baby with my real dad always abusing me, and it went on to my mom. And when I was about 2, we got out of that situation, and I had so many guys come in and out of my life and never really knew what to think of it until when I was about 5 years old when my little brother's real dad came into my life. And at first he was okay until after they got married. And I had things thrown at me. I had things pretty much thrown at my head. I've had bruises show up from not even knowing where they were coming from. I used to have to the point where I couldn't sit down for weeks. And it was really hard trying to make it through that.
I can't even imagine how difficult that may have been, and all that abuse ended up taking a toll, didn't it? You started cutting.
When I was about 9 years old, I started cutting myself because of everything that was going on, because nobody wanted to listen to me. Nobody wanted to hear me out and understand what was going on in my home life when I tried to speak about it. And that led up to when I was about 13 years old, I tried to commit suicide because I did not think that I could do it anymore. And it hurt me pretty bad when I had my little brother and sister walk into the room, and it made me realize that I needed to be here.
But you just went through a big milestone, didn't you? Talk about that.
March 4th was not only my 15th birthday, it was also the day of a commitment that I made 7 months ago to not cut, and I have now been 8.5 months clean.
Each of you have had to overcome challenges in your life, and you've dealt with this, you've done really well. How has the club helped you get over this, and what kind of impact does it have? Let's go ahead and start with Kyle.
As I mentioned, I grew up with my older brother, and if anybody has a brother, specifically if you're 2 males in the house, I think when you wake up, you're competing. When you go to sleep, you're competing. I think you compete while you're sleeping somehow. So a lot of my memories and a lot of my experiences came through our sports. That was our avenue where I grew up in to get out of where we were at, whether scholarship, whether other things. And through those athletic competitions that we had, whether it be floor hockey, basketball, wiffle ball, all these different competitions, it taught us how to, develop drive, develop a desire to win. You give a young kid a taste of success and what it feels like to work hard and earn something and achieve something, and that spark could grow and grow and grow and grow, and they understand the point of putting in the time to do homework, putting in the extra time to do the right thing, helps make decisions in your life. Making the right decisions on the playing field easily transforms into making the right decisions in life. I was fortunate I met the two directors that were there during my time, were exceptional gentlemen, and I really learned a lot of respecting authority, learned a lot of respecting my elders, and that translates to respecting your peers. I was fortunate also in the place that I grew up in, the cultural diversity, as you can imagine, is huge. My ice hockey and floor hockey friends were Hispanic, Eastern Indian, African American, and Caucasian. It didn't matter that maybe where their cultural diversity or their background was, didn't have ice or didn't have hockey. We all got in, we got our sticks, and we played hockey. And it was the same thing, just maybe we weren't skating. And you grow up with that culture and that diversity in you, and it's very easy to translate that as you get older in business, in school, education, where you're not nervous about somebody else. You're more willing to go up to them and introduce yourself and get to meet them.
Over the past 9 years, what I've learned through the Boys and Girls Club is no matter what you do in life, is have confidence in whatever you do. Sometimes I wish that life would keep on going forever. But I know that life is short and we only have one shot at it. So what I've taken over these years is take a shot, go for it, do whatever you know that you can do. If you believe in yourself, you can do whatever you can.
The Boys and Girls Club has been there for me since the beginning of 2 years ago after I was out of a situation, another abusive situation. And it has taught me to be more confident in who I am. It has taught me that it is okay to be yourself and it is okay to just be who you want to be. And Miss U has been an impact in my life through the Boys and Girls Club, being there for me. She has opened so many pages and so many ideas to me and has put me out there, which has helped me open up more at school, has helped me open up more everywhere I go. I'm not scared to do a lot of things anymore like I used to be.
The Boys and Girls Club has been a great impact, not only in my life, but I know a lot of other kids' lives. The Boys and Girls Club is known for releasing big names out of their clubs. I recall to them as a fist, but they're the fingers on the fist because you can't ball your fist without your fingers. So what I say by that is, like, they've opened up so many doors for me. Like, I just got off the college tour, and before that, I only had one college in mind, but now that I've visited other colleges, I have so many other colleges that I want to try to go to. They've helped me with a lot. I've got a great name behind myself from the Boys and Girls Club. Mr. Chris, Miss Hugh, just everybody. They're like a second family. I think if the Boys and Girls Club wasn't here, it would be a lot of chaos. And what I say by that is it would be crazy because they help people so much with the little things that they do. And then that opens up the big things that a lot of other people see, like the community cleanup and stuff like that, the food drive. That just helps instill dignity and character into kids. So I think it's a big help of what they're doing, and it's just a great thing.
Those are some very powerful statements about how the club is bringing you guys together and bringing you up. Real quickly, let's start back with Brandon. Give some of your career goals. How is the club going to help you get to where you're going, and what do you want to do when you grow up?
I want to go to a 4-year college and graduate. I want to have my degree in constructional engineering. I also want to be on a cooking show. So if you want to challenge me to a cook-off, we can get that set up. If that doesn't work, I want to be a lawyer. And then if that doesn't work, I want to be a scientist. I also want to go to the NBA, but, whatever God has planned for me is fine.
Since I was little, a dream that I'd wanted to do is I wanted to go to Juilliard. And something that has been on my mind for so long because I love music. But I think the biggest thing that I really want to do is be an inspirational speaker.
I guess my future is going to be the present soon, in a couple months, so. I've actually applied to Andrews University a couple months ago, and I got accepted, so. So I'm going to move to Andrews University. That's up in Berrien Springs, Michigan. Yeah, I know it's cold. Yeah, I'm going to actually be moving up there about mid-August, and I'm going to be majoring in business management and minoring in accounting. My goal aspiration is to become an entrepreneur, sort of like what Mr. Marshall is doing with Puckett's. Yeah. But if I understand that sometimes it's a little bit risky to own a business, so if that doesn't work out, I'd like to be an accountant, or at least I still have a job, Yeah, two things that are definite in life: death and taxes. So I got to pay the taxes.
Last question. This one's for Kyle. You got out of the situation that you were in. You are a successful physician's assistant with Vanderbilt at Maury Regional. What do you think would have happened to you if you didn't have the club?
It's hard to say. The most poignant story I have is when I was in college, was still living in the town I was living in, was working at actually a Subway. Some guys came in, and this wasn't the first time it had happened, but some guys came in and went next door and robbed the store next to me. I'm not really sure why they didn't rob me for whatever reasons, but I wasn't complaining. My stepfather was the head of the detective unit in the town we were living in, Bellwood. He brought home mug books at dinner time for me to look through to see if I had recognized any of the people that had come first. And page after page after page, I saw kids I had grown up with and that had already committed crimes, had already been booked, had already had pictures put on them for some level. And when you look through those pages, and I can't give you an exact number, but the number of kids that I grew up with in the club were very, very small. It was generally the other kids in the community that hadn't gotten involved with the club, that decided to run with maybe not the right crowds, that decided to join the gangs and not make the other decisions we did with joining the club, being in the club, and growing up in the club as a team, as a group looking out for each other. So I don't know where I would be. I wouldn't be here, most likely. I wouldn't be in this kind of shape. So I would prefer not to think about it because it could be kind of rough.
Thank you all very much. We would like to thank each and every one of you out there for helping to support the Boys and Girls Club, bringing great futures to our panelists. If you would, please give them a round of applause.
Thank you, Ross.